Alright, so you either have or haven't seen Infinity War and want to hear my thoughts on it, or you just like disagreeing with people's opinions and arguing with them in the comment section. Anyway, let's get started. Coming in at number 19, my least favourite MCU film, is The Incredible Hulk. My reasoning for this is that whilst it's a all-around okay film, I could sit down and watch it if it was just on, it doesn't feel like an MCU film, especially with the recasting of Banner. I think my main reason is that I find it very boring. When I was doing the MCU rewatch, I was looking at my phone for most of the film. I mean, there's a couple good gags, like the purple stretchy trousers. Okay, there's one good gag. Coming in at number 18 is Iron Man 2. When this first came out, I actually really enjoyed it. Rewatching it, it really isn't as good as I remember. There's a lot of scenes that I just found boring. It's not like there aren't good scenes in the film, I mean there is. Iron Man 2 has the Iron Man Mark V suit up, which is one of the best suit ups ever. And then it also has the ending scene, which is pretty enjoyable. The final act is okay. It introduced Black Widow, that was fun. I think the main reason it's bad is because, you know, Jon Favreau didn't even want to do it. Okay, this next film, it really hurts to put this movie so low on the list. Coming in at number 17 is Captain America: The First Avenger. It genuinely makes me painful to put Captain America so low, as he's my favourite MCU character. But compared to the newer films, it really, I don't know what to say about it. I mean, it's a perfectly fine film, it's enjoyable, it's fun, funny gags. I mean, the first act, where Steve Rogers is little puny boy, it's really interesting. And the stuff with Hayley Atwell's Peggy Carter, I like her character as well. I mean, the ending is just amazing, it's just that I feel that it's just one giant trailer for Avengers Assemble. Coming in at number 16 is Thor. I know, this film is amazing. So once again, I don't like that it's so low down on my list, but I mean, it did a brilliant job of setting up Thor and introducing the cosmic side to the universe. Before Phase 2 had even started, Thor was one of my favourite films. But now with the release of newer films and the personality change to Thor, it's definitely my least favourite Thor film. It also introduces Loki, arguably the best villain in the cinematic universe. I mean, it is definitely very well written. It just kind of sucks to put it so low down on the list. Okay, coming in at number 15, I'd have to say is Ant-Man. Now, I actually really enjoy Ant-Man, and I have seen it quite a few times. I mean, it feels like an MCU film with the addition of Falcon. It's just that it feels like a standalone film. And that's what I'm also worried about Ant-Man and the Wasp, is that it's just going to feel like a standalone film. And that's my main reason for not liking it as much to some of the newer films. Especially as I really wish Edgar Wright could have directed it. Like, it would have been so much better. But I mean, it's perfectly fine. There's a lot of funny gags. I mean, Michael Peña's character is definitely one of the best parts of the whole film. It's well written. I think it was perfectly cast. Like, the cast is wow. I mean, a lot of people thought that Paul Rudd as a superhero in the MCU would feel weird, and whilst the first time watching it, it did feel a bit weird seeing him in a Marvel film. Second time, third time, fourth time, so on, it was fine. It just felt normal. It was cool to see Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Coming in at number 14, please don't get mad at this, it's Thor Ragnarok. This film is fine. I like Taika Waititi as a director. I think he's cool, I think he's funny, he's amazing. But whilst this film has a lot of funny gags, I definitely feel that that's what drives most of the film. I was quite heavily disappointed walking out of the cinema. With the heavy change to Thor's personality, it just felt weird, and whilst there were a lot of funny gags, a lot of them just felt forced. I mean, the visuals are amazing, don't get me wrong. Definitely one of the nicer looking MCU films. Maybe I need to watch it a second time, and then I might like it again, because the thing that annoyed me the most about this film was the joke at the end, when Bruce Banner jumps out of the ship and tries to turn into Hulk, and it's like, haha, look, it's a throwback to the Incredible Hulk film. I didn't think that was funny, because it was building up this massive tension for the final fight, and then it's just, oh look, Mark Ruffalo fell on his face. funny guys. It's jokes like that really annoyed me. It just ruined the tension for the film most of the time. Yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with this, and that's fine. You have your own opinion, I have mine, so yeah. Coming in at number 13 is Age of Ultron. It's not that it's bad or anything, but you know when you're really hyped for something, and then it comes out, you watch it, you're just sitting there in the cinema, you're kind of disappointed, but because you've been waiting for it for so long, you can't admit to it. That's what I felt like walking out of the cinema after watching this. It's good, very good film. I think turning Paul Bettany's Jarvis into Vision was a brilliant idea. I think that they were focusing more on what's to come in the MCU rather than just focusing on what's going on now. And I think that's what most people think is wrong with Ultron. Other than that, it's a perfectly fine film. I think Ultron is a very fascinating villain. There were creative differences with Joss Whedon and Kevin Feige, so that definitely shows a bit in the film. Other than that, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's a really good film. It's funny, it's well written, very well acted. I was just disappointed because I was expecting Avengers Assemble ×2. So yeah. Okay, this is when you're gonna get really angry because I know a lot of people hate this film. Coming in at number 12 is For the Dark World. Yeah, For the Dark World is most probably my favourite Thor film. I don't get why a lot of people don't like it. I mean, I know Malekith is a bit boring, and yeah, he is. But other than that, it's a perfectly fine film. Alan Taylor did a really good job of directing. I can't say better than Kenneth Branagh, whatever the hell. There's a lot of very well executed jokes, and you see how Thor has progressed since the last couple of movies. You know, he's smart now, he's intelligent, he's not just bloodthirsty and stupid. Other than that, I think it's really well done. The thing that annoys me the most is that it really shows that Natalie Portman really didn't want to be in this film. Okay, this is when you're gonna get really angry, because so am I. Coming in at number 11 is Iron Man 1. My reason for putting this, in my opinion, so low down on the list, even though it kicked off the MCU amazingly, I think it's because since then, because Iron Man was just by himself, since then, but each film it's gotten better and better on a bigger, wider spectrum. I don't know, I love this film. I remember seeing it back in 2008 thinking it was the best thing ever, and it really was. It is amazing. There's not a single bit about this film that I don't like. There's nothing wrong with this film at all. I think it is amazing. It's just that it hurts me so much to put this so low on the list because I remember watching this, thinking it was amazing. 10 years later, it holds up so well. Even the CGI is still so good. It was the best start to the MCU you could have asked for. Okay, coming in at number 10 is Iron Man 3. I know a lot of people don't like this film, and I understand why. Iron Man's greatest villain just turns out to be a fake. I think the main reason that I like this film so much is that it shows us that Iron Man isn't a suit, it's Tony Stark. And I love that it showed us that Tony Stark is so much more than just a billionaire wearing a weapon. I love the final act showcasing off all the Iron Man suits. That's just amazing. Iron Man 3 also has my favourite Iron Man suit, the Iron Man Mark 42 Prodigal Son. Okay, this is where it started to get really hard for me to decide where I put each movie. Coming in at number 9 is Doctor Strange. I've really enjoyed Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange has a perfectly balanced sense of humour along with action and tension, but I really enjoyed this film. It starts off with you not liking the main character, even though you're supposed to, and then all of a sudden, there's magic in the MCU. It just introduces a huge amount of wizardry, if you will, into the MCU, and I think it's really interesting to see how that works and to see how Stephen Strange changes into a good man and he's willing to sacrifice himself to save the rest of mankind. I really enjoyed the final act. When I saw it for the first time, I was like, that final act is even better than Avengers Assemble. I don't think that anymore, but at the time, it was just amazing. Scott Derrickson did an amazing job at directing it. I really enjoyed the horror film Sinister, and so it was surprising to see that he directed Doctor Strange. The CGI in Doctor Strange is definitely some of the best in the MCU. Okay, coming in at number 8, a lot of you will disagree with this, is Black Panther. Black Panther is an amazing film. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, except for one thing, that I noticed in the cinema. Bear in mind I've only watched this once, and that was on release day, so maybe I missed something when watching it. But how did Killmonger get his suit? Because how would he know to concentrate on the necklace to activate it? Because it's not like Shuri would have given it to him and told him how to work it out. I don't know, maybe there's an easy explanation to this and I'm just being flipping stupid. Other than that, I think this film is extremely well written and Ryan Coogler did an amazing job of directing it. Black Panther has a very memorable soundtrack and it fits in with the movie. Killmonger, whilst he's the villain of the film, he didn't feel like a villain. I'd say Michael B. Jordan's performance is the best part of the film. Okay, coming in at number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Much like many others, I did not think this film was going to be good. I thought this was going to be a massive flop. And then I saw it, and Chris Pratt is like one of my favourite actors, so he made the film truly amazing in my opinion. But what really sticks out is James Gunn's directing and the soundtrack. The thing that James Gunn is best at, in my opinion, is interpreting music into his films and making it fit the situation so well. It's one of the most well-written films in the MCU, I feel like, and everyone's performance is amazing. And I'm just really glad that it worked out. I think it also has some of the most complex characters in the MCU, with Peter Quill being from Earth, being captured by Yondu, not knowing who his father is, and then Gamora being the adopted daughter of Thanos. Okay, coming in at number 6 is Avengers Assemble. I'm sure a lot of you would have this film a lot higher on your list. I love Avengers Assemble. I think it did an amazing job of bringing all of the somewhat standalone films together and bringing all the characters onto the screen at the same time. Loki again was the villain. He's arguably the best villain in the MCU. I think Tony Stark sacrificing himself to save the rest of the world is a huge, very well done character development, and I love how it gives him PTSD in Iron Man 3. Every single time I see the rotating panning shot of all of them getting ready to fight, I quiver with excitement. I love that shot. I feel like that is one of the best shots in the MCU. Okay, what you've all been waiting for, my top 5. Okay, you're gonna be surprised by this. Number 5 is Avengers Infinity War. I saw it yesterday on release day, yesterday being April 26th, as I'm British, and oh my god, this film is everything I wanted it to be, but better. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything because this film is amazing. There are certain parts that make it not feel like an MCU film, but I like that. And there's only one thing that annoyed me about the whole film. I'll get to that after the credits of this video. I was hyped for this film for like 3.5 years, and I was so happy to finally see it, to finally see Thanos in action. It was so nice to finally see him and to see the outcome of Civil War. It is amazing. I don't want to get into details because I don't want this film to be spoiled. If you have seen this or haven't seen it, you're most probably thinking, then why the hell isn't this higher on my list? I'm thinking that as well. This should be number 1 at my list because there were moments where my jaw was just dropped for like 20 straight minutes. I will say that this film has my favourite post-credits scene out of any MCU film. The only reason it's not higher on my list like it should be is because I've only seen it once. I only saw it yesterday. It's only been out for 1 day. I'm not going to go see it again unless I kind of start to go insane like I already am, because after watching it, I can just not stop thinking about it and what's next to come in the MCU. Whilst my 4th and 3rd film I love equally, I'm going to have to put as my number 4, Guardians Volume 2. I know there's a lot of people thinking there's no way Guardians 2 is better than Avengers Infinity War, because I know a lot of people didn't like that film for some reason. I thought it was amazing. When I first walked out of it, I was like, that's my favourite MCU film for sure. I have no idea why people didn't like this. I thought it was amazingly written. Once again, James Gunn did a brilliant job of writing and directing the film, and this is where I think the performances really shine. The development of Yondu's character in that film was so much more better, considering he dies at the end, which really made me sad. I think that's the best scene in the whole film. Michael Rook and Chris Pratt did an amazing job acting out that scene. This film is amazing. I love this film so much. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this film. The whole final act is just amazing, and it's one of the first Marvel films where I feel like it was properly color graded. Coming in at number 3, as I said, really hard to decide between Guardians 2 and this film. I think the only reason I picked this one is because of nostalgia, and I have always dreamed of this movie coming out. Spider-Man Homecoming is my number 3. Spider-Man was always my favourite superhero, so to see him incorporated into the MCU in Civil War was amazing. So to see a full MCU film of Spider-Man was amazing. It was a dream come true, and I think John Watts did an amazing job of directing it and introducing Peter Parker to the MCU, and it's a realistic high school film. Like, the bully's just, you know, a douchebag. He's not going to be a super buff, blonde, 30-year-old man. He's just going to be your generic douchebag. And I think Jacob Batalon's Ned is a very likable character, very funny. I think Spider-Man Homecoming's humour is very well executed, and the plot twist of Vulture being Liz's dad is wow. I don't believe anyone saw that coming. I certainly didn't. And rewatching that film, whilst it will never be as good because there are certain gags which every time I see it gives it less replay value.
I'm looking at porn.
Tom Holland is amazing. I see why everyone loves him in real life as well as in the film, because he's amazing. When he thought that he was gonna die and he just shouted for help like a normal 15-year-old boy, I genuinely felt like crying. That was a very emotional scene, and I think Vulture as well is one of the best villains, because he's not necessarily a villain, he's doing all of this stuff because he wants to support his family. And so I love that he didn't rat out Spider-Man in the post-credit scene. Okay, once again, it is so hard for me to decide between these two films, but number 2 is Captain America Civil War. It is genuinely so hard for me to number Civil War and Winter Soldier because I love both of them equally so much. Whilst I think there is absolutely nothing wrong with this film, I think seeing how Bucky has kind of developed since Winter Soldier is really interesting, and I love Bucky as a character. As I said, Captain America is my favourite superhero in the MCU. It's nice to see him develop even more, and his relationship with Bucky and how his relationship with Tony Stark crumbles. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely did a brilliant job of writing it, and the Russos did, again, an amazing job of directing, and everyone's performance is amazing. The airport battle is wow. It was speechless for about an hour after that film, seeing that scene for the first time. The only thing I didn't like about this film is that I feel like the Sokovia Accords were poorly implemented. By that I mean that whilst the Avengers killed 200 people in Sokovia, Ultron would have killed 7 billion. I think the government can deal with like 200 people being killed for the rest of the world to stay alive. And I also think it's a bit dumb how Tony Stark deals with finding out that Bucky killed his parents. Bucky had no idea what he was doing. We all know that. He was brainwashed, yet Tony thinks that Bucky knew what he was doing. So coming in at number 1 is Captain America the Winter Soldier. I love this film. Whilst I did do the MCU rewatch, I watched Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Civil War just before watching Infinity War for the first time because they were on Netflix. Literally, during Winter Soldier, I did not look at the timestamp once, I did not pause it once, I did not look at my phone once at all. I was just going insane for the whole movie, even though I've seen Winter Soldier like 20 times. And I think that it's amazing that Winter Soldier can still have that feeling after countless times of watching it. And I love the reintroduction of Bucky, considering we all thought he was dead. I love to see how Cap's character has developed, considering he was in the ice for like 70 years. And so in Winter Soldier, it's nice to see him develop and to become a normal person of society. I think the way they introduced Falcon was really interesting, and I just really like Anthony Mackie's performance in that film. And the plot twist that Hydra has been operating secretly underneath S.H.I.E.L.D.'s nose this whole time was whoa. So I feel like that was very well executed and just very interesting. I think Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson is the perfect pair. I think they're the best duo in the MCU other than Bucky and Cap. Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson have amazing on-screen chemistry. And one of my favourite things about this film, the soundtrack. I think the soundtracks and the sound effects really stand out in this film, and it's definitely one of the best parts of this film. And the humour is perfectly fine. Also a very emotional film, you know, the ending where Bucky beats the flipping crap out of Steve, and it also spawns one of the most memorable quotes from the MCU.
Because I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
There we go, there's my rankings for all 19 MCU films. As I said, it is so hard to actually put these films into numbers, and I even disagree with my own list, so I'm not surprised if you want to disagree with it in the comments.